Hello my guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. So this video is going to be a bit more simple, I guess, because next week's going to be really big. It took so long to work on. This upcoming video is going to be wild, so this one's pretty chill. I'm going to be testing out a ton of different brushes from IbisPaint, seeing their practicality, how they work, if I might be able to utilize them sometime. Pretty simple thing. I'm not even doing that much drawing, mainly coloring here. But if you do like this video and this channel, then I would encourage you to subscribe. I'm trying to reach 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and that's coming up, so please subscribe. And on with the video. So the first one I wanted to try out was going to be a paint, because there are some different painting brushes and I've never tried any of them, so I'm really curious about them. Now, I want to use a free one because I was like, oh, I'll be working on these drawings like sometimes going back and forth. I don't want to have to, keep watching ads to use brushes. So that did influence my choices here. So the paint I ended up using was the Watercolor mix. It's like the only free watercolor, and I, in real life, don't use watercolor ever because I'm not great at using it. I always use it like it's acrylic paint. So I want to try doing it digitally, see if I could get some of the benefit from watercolor while also having a more controlled environment. So I started off doing some tests. I had a gradient, some shapes, colors. For the gradient, I also wanted to check out the watercolor water brush, which is just like using water on top of watercolor, so it does a lot of blending. And for the gradient, I tested that out a lot, and I was very intrigued from what I saw, especially with the gradient, because I've always struggled to like mix things on IbisPaint or do any sort of gradient, because your options are like the blur tool or like getting really finicky with the airbrush, and this is so much better than the blur tool. Like, it does a lot of the things that I wish the blur tool did, with like kind of carrying the colors more so you can have a more gradual gradient instead of just, like there's just a faint blur between two colors and it's still very harsh. So this was very intriguing to me, I guess. But before I could go in and test these colors too much, I had to draw something. So I wanted it to be winter themed since, we're in December now. And I also wanted it to be pretty simple, kind of cute, just something that could be there as a tool for me to color. So I decided I'd draw some penguins since those are cute and simple creatures. Then I was like thinking of having a penguin couple, and there'd be like two candy canes framing them to make a heart. And while I was drawing this, I was actually at school, which I don't usually like to do, but people were like suggesting different things while I was drawing this, like kind of guessing what I was drawing, being like, oh, you should do this and this. And this is why I don't draw in front of people, for the record. So then one person was like, oh my god, they're lesbian penguins. And I'm like, you know what? Now they are. If you watched my last video, you'll remember that the second place comment that recommended what I should draw was for me to draw gay penguins. So it happened. Here's the gay penguins. I wasn't even thinking about it while I did it, but here they are. Also, as I was choosing colors for them, I decided they'd be reminiscent of the colors of the lesbian flag, since lesbian penguins, I don't know, I wanted something more interesting than black and white. At first I was going to do dark purple and white for the penguins, but I figured this could be more interesting to distinguish the penguins from each other more. Then I started getting to work and quickly realized that I could barely see the white I was putting down, so I put a gray background. And what I can say about these brushes is that they're very interesting. So this brush was like really sensitive to any colors nearby it since it was watercolor mix. which I should have thought about more. But it did give this really like freeing effect while I was drawing, where everything felt kind of loose, like I could mess up. It could be a bit messy and bleed through, but like that was fine, which felt very nice when drawing, when you can just let a lot of the pressure go and have fun with it. They're also very hard to like layer on top of. Like when I did the blush, it was very faint, even though I had like really saturated and bright colors I was putting on top of it. I also didn't use the water too much. I did use it to blend out the blue background I put behind the penguins, because I didn't want to color the whole thing blue and I didn't want to draw a background because I'm lazy. So I just kind of did this swath of blue behind them. Then I put some candy canes. I didn't do line art first because I wasn't sure if I was going to actually end up doing them, if that was too much. But in the end I decided to do it, and I tried using the water here to also like blend out the white, because sometimes candy canes are kind of blendy. Not too much though. These candy canes look so wrong. I don't know what was wrong about the way I was coloring these candy canes, but these ones definitely did not give candy cane vibes. So overall, I really liked the blending of it, and especially like when I was using the water. That I really want to use in the future a lot more. However, the watercolor mix had a lot of problems, mainly that it was very sensitive to any nearby colors. But the brush, real watercolor I think it's called, isn't as bad and has a lot of the same effects from this that I like. So I actually use that one a lot right now. Even though what I didn't want to do in this video was watch ads frequently to have to use brushes I like, it ended up happening anyway because I use this brush all the time now, because I like doing things more realistically sometimes, and that was always scary to do digitally and I never knew how I was gonna do it. And a lot of times I'm too lazy to traditionally do stuff. So real watercolor is great for doing more paintish stuff, more realistic stuff, just anything that's on my traditional style. So I have to watch ads all the time now. But oh well, it's fine. I'll give 30 seconds for 18 hours of unlimited access. Then I moved on to a new brush. So I took the same image and the same colors, and now I just had to figure out what brush I wanted to use. So I was going through the free ones, and one that sparked my eye was the Crayon. Now, I've seen a lot of like animations or just drawings. It's usually more animations because the coloring style is meant to be very quick and easy and like much more simple than the average coloring. A good example of this is like Sultan's sketches. In a lot of his storytime videos he would do this, but there's like a lot of gaps. It's very sketchy. It just kind of looks like loosely scribbled. I've always wanted to try and accomplish this effect somehow, because when I'm doing quick and simple stuff and still want to have color, you know, it seems like a great way to do that, but I've never really been able to accomplish it. So I thought maybe if I try some different brushes, it might work. And the crayon seemed like a very probable result, especially based on what I could see in the little preview that IbisPaint has for its brushes. So I decided I was going to try out the crayon, and I want to try and accomplish that effect where it's kind of gappy, kind of loose, very messy. So I tried to leave all those imperfections, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so this is hard for me to do. And also, since there are a lot of little details, I had to have the brush be kind of small so I could reach those little smaller areas. But at the same time, having the brush small removed a lot of the chance to have those imperfections. So if I could do it again, I would have the brush be a bigger size and just be really messy with it, and then use the blue background to clean it up a bit more. But oh well. The candy canes, I did try to use that bigger brush because I felt like I could try it with them. They look kind of weird again. It's a bit better this time. So this time, instead of doing the red first and then putting white on top of it, I did the white first and put the red on top of it, which looks a bit better, but still I didn't do enough of the red since I tried to have a big brush and tried to have those imperfections there. I think I made it too imperfect because now the shape isn't really clear and there's just kind of blobs there trying to be candy cane stripes. These ones were fine for layering though, which was also something I really didn't like about the watercolor mix. And I feel like these could have potential. Maybe there are some things I can edit in the brush settings to make it work, but as it is now, not really something I could find myself using. But I wasn't giving up on accomplishing that effect. So I went ahead and started looking through more brushes. And god, there's a lot of brushes. You never realize how many there are till you're like looking for very specific ones or just trying to look through to find ones that have a good effect. And like, really, do we need all those like different sparkle stamp brushes? That's not important though. I found one called the Coarse Pencil, and once again from the preview it looked like it could accomplish that effect I wanted. So this one was also really interesting after I started using it. So it's almost like it has pre-selected pixels that cannot be colored in when you use this brush. I tried to go over them again thinking that was just like, you know, how you, whenever you use an actual pencil or a colored pencil, those gaps will appear, but usually you can go over them again and get rid of most of them. That didn't happen. No matter how many times you went over them, the little white pixels you can see that aren't colored in would never change. So now I understood why it looked like that effect would be accomplished, because there are literal gaps that it's chosen not to fill in. It didn't really make it look messy as much as it makes everything look sparkly though, especially the candy canes. It all just looks like it's sparkling and shining. When I did the shadow for the background, where I put like a darker blue behind the characters though, I didn't like how apparent the difference between the dark blue and light blue was, so I did actually use the water tool for that. Like, look at me, already using that tool more. This was the best example of candy canes also in the whole video. Like, still not great. I don't know what I'm doing wrong with these candy canes, but you know what? They look like candy canes. Like, they give candy cane vibes, and someone could recognize those as candy canes. I think most of them are recognizable, but this one gives like the biggest traditional candy cane feeling. So once again, not really the effect I wanted. I didn't really get that, but I could see myself using this for other things. I don't know if the Coarse Pencil would be a good choice for me to use for anything, but I mean, this is gonna pull out my hoarder mindset here, but maybe one day it'll be useful. And I do like the little sparkly effect. Anyway, if you did like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Also, comment down your favorite brush for whatever your preferred drawing platform is. It'd be interesting to see what kind of brushes y'all like to use. Also, while you're down there below the video commenting, make sure to go to the description of the video and check out all my social medias like Instagram and Twitter. I'm planning to post on those more soon. I keep making this promise, but I promise it's gonna happen very soon. Post-Christmas, I have some ideas. And I will see you all next week.